It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new Vista Chino from their Peace release, and that's called Sweet Remain. And on the phone with us, I want to welcome for the first time to the Classic Metal Show lead vocalist John Garcia. How's it going there, John?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. Well, you jump right in there with all the big names like Lemmy and Bill Ward and Nick Menza as of late.
I wouldn't go that far, but I appreciate the comment. That's very nice.
Well, you're no stranger to the music world. I mean, you've been around a long time. With previous band Kyuss, and you're doing the Vista Chino thing now, and you're a veteran musician, and you're no stranger to that. So we enjoy having you longtime guys come on the show because you're a wealth of knowledge, background, and interesting stories to tell.
Well, I thank you for that. There's nothing worse than false modesty, but I got to tell you that I do appreciate you grouping me in with those legends, and Brent and I and Bruno we're all very appreciative that we can still be here and do this, and our families allow us to do this. It takes a certain type of woman and kids to understand that their husbands and dads still have a passion to do what we do. So it's on a massive appreciation level that I could be talking to to a complete stranger on the other line about something that I still love and I still do. Even to this day. So I appreciate the interest and I appreciate you talking to me about Vista Chino, our new band. So we're again, thank you very much, and we're appreciative to the fact that we can still be doing this.
Sure, absolutely. Well, John, I guess the first question, as a fan of Kyuss, but not really knowing about the Vista Chino thing, about the name, sounds like something you could order at Starbucks. Where does it come from? That's funny.
You're right. The name, we all know what Vista means, what a Vista is. And
yeah,
we all
view.
Know what the
it's
word,
a view.
Right. It's a view. It's a view between two. Really, between two objects, two mountains or two trees or two mesas, whatever, and Chino. If you don't know what Chino is, there's several different definitions to that, and one of them is like a curly haired type of shamanistic guy. The other one, you can even use the word Chino in referencing marijuana. That's not the definition of Vista Chino. The definition of Vista Chino is the music that you hear at our show or on the record piece. That's the definition. How it makes you feel. That's the definition. Obviously, the name resonated with Brent and I heavily, being that's one of the main roads in the Coachella Valley, mainly Palm Springs and Cathedral City. So it's where we grew up. It's part of home. And we're big on where we grew up, our home, and we're very proud of our desert, and it's very much who we are, and it resonates in our music, and we still reside there. So hence the name Vista Chino, and you never know. I bet you could go to Starbucks and order a Vista Chino, but that's funny stuff.
Well, I personally had lived up in the Victor Valley myself, out in the desert for years, and when I came down the Cajon Pass down into the LA basin and headed west on I-10, sooner or later I would get a Vista Chino as I entered the Chino city limits.
Well, that's awesome, and You never know. Maybe one of these days you can. Maybe you can get one of those coffees. It just can't be too foo-foo. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, John, I gotta, obviously one of the biggest stories for you outside of the release of the new record and the touring and whatnot is your unfortunate legal battles with your former Kyuss band members, because, that seems to be the flavor of the day. I mean, not to compare you to these bands in their music form, but obviously one of the ones that have made that story big is Queensryche, the battle between Jeff Tate and the rest of the Queensryche band, or Jack Russell fighting his former Great White members and for the name. And, years ago it was Dave Peverett and Foghat, and then it was the two Pink Floyds out there, and on and on and on. Nobody likes to be mired in that legal stuff because it's music. And as you stated at the very beginning of the interview, it's a passion of yours, and nobody ever gets to the point to think, you know what, I'm going to have to fight tooth and nail in court over this someday. So how are you handling this?
Well, I agree with you. Nobody wants to, Brent, and I've said this before, I don't like parking tickets, let alone speeding tickets, let alone a federal fucking lawsuit slapped upon me. So it wasn't any fun at all, and it was a major bummer. Could it have been avoided? Absolutely, 100%. Josh went ahead and filed lawsuits. Scott Reeder wasn't even a part of it to begin with, and that whole thing was I don't know how that lie came about, but he wasn't even a part of it. Later on, he did join suit, but there's nothing worse than doing that, and we did fight. We fought valiantly, and sometimes in the United States as well as some of the other countries, those with the most money win. And we had it up to here financially, emotionally. And not only was it a problem, for us professionally, but for our families as well. And it was the biggest load of bullshit I'd ever been through in my entire life, and completely and totally unnecessary. And let me tell you where we're at right now. That's over, finished, done, gone out, and I cannot tell you what a tremendous weight has been lifted off of our shoulders to have, those two guys, Josh Homme and Scott Reeder, out of our lives. I'm not going to sit here and shit talk about Josh Homme and Scott Reeder. I don't like them,
Sure.
and I can definitely, voice how I feel about both of them. And that's putting it in very light words. But again, this is not a shit-talking session. You asked me a very specific question and how, and how that all went down. But I want to go back to it took us a lot longer to get to where we are right now. But we're here. That is what Brent and I and Bruno are concentrating on right now, is the music of Vista Chino and that passion and that void that is still in our guts and our hearts and in our soul, emotionally, physically, and in any way, shape, or form. We are completely and totally consumed by Vista Chino and nothing else. that's how, there's a lot more specifics that you can go into, and there's their side of the story and our side of the story, and it's just a one big lump of shit, if you ask me.
Nice.
and completely and totally unnecessary, like I said. But we're in a better place. We're all family men. Bruno's got 2 kids. I've got 2. A wonderful son and a beautiful daughter, and Brent's got 2 great boys, and that is what is most important here, and we haven't lost sight or track of that at all. Everything else is shit. The bus is shit. First class flying to Europe is shit. And nothing matters. Not even the music matters. What really matters here is us still being able to have a relationship with our wives and our kids. That's the most important thing. The secondary part is them allowing us, and I touched base on this before, them allowing us to let us do what we do. They're really the unsung heroes here, and a lot of the time it wasn't the lawsuit that was bothering me, and I'll say it again. It was the type of fishing bait that I was going to use when I took my kids fishing. That's what I was thinking about. I wasn't giving those guys, any more time than I had already given. And you know what? Here's another thing. Nobody has the right to take my fucking joy away. Not Josh Homme or Scott Reeder. Nobody. And they have not. I still can sing any Kyuss song when I want, how I want, whenever I want, and I will continue to do so as long as I'm on this earth. And that's one thing that they can never take away from me, nor have I allowed them to take my joy away from me. It's the music that gets me fired up. That's my passion, not fucking doing lawsuits.
Sure.
That is just asinine and ridiculous. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
That's quite all right, because I feel your pain and your passion. My longtime partner, Chris, who couldn't be with us here, he had to quit the classic metal show for 2.5 years due to the problem with his wife, and as unfortunate as it might be, he and his wife parted company, and he's back on the show after a 2.5-year hiatus. But good
for him.
She would not allow him to be a part of the classic metal show.
Ugh.
It made his life miserable over it. So you're one of the lucky ones to have an understanding significant other who will indulge you with your passion. So good for you.
Yes, and you know what? Good for Chris too. Good. I'm sure a tremendous weight has been lifted off his shoulders, and getting back to a passion that he loves to do. That's great. I don't know him, but give him a high five for me. I feel his pain, but I also feel the celebration now that he's back and doing his thing, and it's a shame that he can't be here for this, but all good stuff.
Sure. Well, let's talk about Vista Chino now. Let's wash away the bad and bring in the good here. Tell us a little bit about this new record Peace. Is there a significance to the title? The title of the album is it because you've made peace, or is it
Yeah, Considering all we just got done talking about, that's all we really want at a life, and it was very appropriate when you're playing in a band with Brent Bjork. He has just an incredible amount of integrity, and just super, super talented, as well as Bruno Fevery. And I'm super lucky to have played on a record, like Peace with Brent and Bruno. So when Brent had, brought up that name to me on a flight somewhere, we were sitting together. It had made perfect sense. There was one other name that was floating around, and that eventually became one of the another song title. But when he had mentioned Peace, just like he had mentioned to me Vista Chino, it was very obvious that there was no need to bring any other name at all up. It was just a perfect, harmonious title to a record that we had a blast making it at Brent Bjork's studio in Joshua Tree, California. So
excellent. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the songwriting here and the way that these songs came together? I mean, were these things that were kicking around during the Kyuss live days, or was this all brand new that just came down just for this record, or is this something that might have been something that was in the works for a while, or how did it all come together?
Yeah, we Brent started giving me ideas about a year before it being really finalized, mixed, mastered, and released. There were times when we wanted to be in the studio and we couldn't because we were doing depositions. What a bummer that was. So again, it took us a lot longer to get there, to get here, but it's here. I think that the biggest part of this record was, Brent and I learning to trust each other again in the studio, in this environment. What I mean by that is when Brent asked myself and Bruno to, he wanted to produce the record. Bruno and I had to trust Brent, and we did. When I was in the studio, singing some of Brent's melodies and lyrics that he had put to one of Bruno's songs, Sweet Remain, Brent had to trust me to turn this melody, this lyric, into something, into a love of mine. I had to fall in love with this song. I had to fall in love with this composition that Bruno had given me, that Brent had written specifically. There were moments where, there were moments of really, really awesomeness. And when Brent and I were in his kitchen in Joshua Tree, separate from his studio, and we were going over ideas for Adara. That song means a tremendous amount to me because it was something that I had envisioned Brent and I doing, writing together, giving him a line, him playing off that line, going, okay, let's use this line, and then I've got this chorus. Do you have anything for Acidize? And going through 8 different versions of Acidize. That was the fun part. That being able to sing Acidize 8 different ways with 8 different melodies and 8 different sets of lyrics. That was fun. Choosing the microphones with Harper, Hug, and Trevor, whatever, and using, just a handheld 58 to a U67 to a U87 to these different experimental microphones that had, that Harper had brought in from his wizardry, if you will. So creatively, being up in Joshua Tree and looking at the rolling hills of the Joshua Tree National Monument outside my vocal booth, by myself with Harper Hug, with Brent in the other room, and Bruno being away in Belgium, all of this wrapped into the whole us trusting each other again, and the emotion of what we had been through, and what was happening right then and there. It was a beautiful thing. It was sometimes organic, and sometimes super emotional, and but it was really awesome to be able to do it in that environment and not in a studio in Los Angeles, which we thought about. We thought about going with Chris Goss. We thought about going with Joe Barresi, and we loved those two professionally. They're just two great guys. But we had decided that we knew what we want. Brent knew what he wanted, and along with Harper Hug, we were were going to take a chance and get in there and do it. And I think Brent did an amazing job. And, we didn't go in there to change the face of rock and roll. We just went in there to fill a void, and we're going to be doing it anyway, whether lawsuit or no lawsuit in front of 5 people, 500, 5,000 or 50,000, we're going to be doing it anyway. And peace is what you got out of it, and peace is what is the direct product of Bruno's hard work, my hard work, and of course Mr. Brent Bjork's hard work. And we're stoked to have had Mike Dean play on it, he's on the road with us right now, and Nick Oliveri plays on it, and Brent Bjork plays some bass on it. So it was awesome. All in all, it was an awesome experience.
Sure. And chemistry is very important among, the key players, right? Always.
Always. Yeah. We had to, some journalists had asked me, well, what is this record going to sound like, John? I said, I don't fucking know. They said, well, is it going to be a Kyuss record? Is it going to be a polka record? I said, I don't fucking know. For all I know, we could go in there and who knows?
Sure.
To me, it was a ride. It was a ride. It was a cool ride, and we put some new parts in the motor, and we tuned her up, and we're taking her out for a ride, and we're opening her up, and that's exactly what we did. There's some parts of Vista Chino, this record piece that I play on, that remind me a lot of Kyuss. A song like Dargona Dragona is something that Kyuss, I think, would have done. A song, Sweet Remain, maybe in a lower vocal range, is maybe something we had done. Maybe even acidized with the speech level vocals, such, something that, has, a demon cleaner type of speech level vocal, like I said, on it, to the Gambling Moose. And then there's a lot of other things, exploratory things that we did. Look at Barcelonian, even As You Wish. So there's, from my point of view, from the singer's point of view, there's a lot of Kyuss-esque in there, and plus there's a lot of exploration, which was very much welcomed.
Sure. Now, as a singer or as a band member, do you mind the labels that get put on you, such as doom metal? I'm sure, obviously, you've heard that. So, do you mind those type of labels, or do you just like, this is, Kyuss music, or this is Vista Chino music, there is no label? Are you one of those guys, or do you mind being categorized in a subgenre of metal? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't mind at all. There was a time when I didn't like the term stoner rock, or which was big, which we got a lot.
Sure.
And now I embrace it. I think I speak for Brent and Bruno and Mike, that we've, whatever you want to call it, doom rock, doom metal, stoner rock, cock rock. It really we've just learned to embrace it and kind of go with the flow, and people are going to critique and criticize and comment, and that's their right, and to name it however way it makes you feel. That's the right way.
Right.
That really is the right way. It could mean something else, totally different to somebody else. But whatever it makes you feel, man, that's it. That's all there is to it. Over, finished, done, gone out. That's it.
Sure. Now, with the state of the record industry as it is, which is basically non-existent, and you guys, I'm assuming you guys are pretty much self-financed when it comes to your own recordings and whatnot now. What is your inspiration to record a whole album worth of music, since, multi-platinum records are almost unheard of these days?
My inspiration was Brent and Bruno. When I got the opportunity to share the stage again with Brent over in Europe when I was doing a kind of a thing where I went under the manga Garcia plays Kyuss, and I was using that as a conduit, as a stepping stone for my solo project. And Brent and he was doing his solo thing, and when he would come up and do a song like Green Machine or Gardenia, I never expected to, as lame as it may sound, to feel what I was feeling. Right? I mean, it was an emotional time. I genuinely enjoy playing with Brent Bjork. He's an enigma. There's something about him and his playing, and his energy and his aura, that I relate to with. Always have, ever since, he was the first drummer that I ever played with, I love the guy, and he's a brother of mine, and I'm inspired by him. I'm inspired by Bruno. I'm inspired by, my family, and that's where it all comes from. And obviously, there's an all too familiar void in my gut that I've had ever since I listened to She Sells Sanctuary by the Cult in my photography class at Indio High School. That changed my life.
Sure.
And I just still have that passion. You think about that one time that you started getting into music, and I was still trying to find my own. I was listening to anything from Earth, Wind and Fire to Tom Petty to Suicidal Tendencies, and I was searching and looking, and when I heard Ian and Billy and Les and Jamie and they're playing on that record, it changed my life. And they're the whole reason Ian's really the whole reason I started singing. But as far as inspiration goes, I've for Vista Chino and this record piece, it's definitely obviously Brent and Bruno and my family and just my overall passion for the Cult.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, John, I tell you, you've been very informative, and I can tell that you have a high passion level for speaking about Vista Chino and your music endeavors and whatnot, and it's been very cool having you here on the Classic Metal Show to talk about it. Is there anything else about the CD or the band Vista Chino that maybe I didn't touch on that you'd like the fans to know?
Well, I appreciate your interest, I'm sorry for these long-winded answers, but you're right. That's one thing that I am. I feel strongly about my passion for what I do, and at our age, still being able to do it, and being able to talk about it, is massive for me, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the interest, and I just thank you, and thanks to your listeners, and we're on the road right now touring, and we're going to be going down the West Coast and playing a show at Slim's in San Francisco tomorrow, and then 2 LA shows, and on to Denver and onto the East Coast, and then hopefully do it again in December, touring all Europe here October, November. So we're working, and just want to invite whoever wants to listen to some Vista Chino and some Kyuss tunes, and if you haven't seen the band before, come on out, man. We'd appreciate to see you, and I just, again, thank you very much. I appreciate the interest, and have a good rest of your evening.
Excellent. Well, if you want to check out Vista Chino, go over there to their website at vistachinomusic.com and, check out the tour dates. Go pick up the new release from Vista Chino just called Peace. It's available now through all your media outlets, Amazon, iTunes, et cetera, et cetera. And if you like, and forgive me, John, stoner metal or doom metal or if you're just a fan of Kyuss, pick it up. I think you'll enjoy it. And before I let you go, John, I need to ask you the traditional classic metal show question. We've been asking this for about 10 years, so we've probably got close to 1,000 different answers already. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
I first saw Lemmy on a show called The Young Ones on MTV when I was a kid. And, you know, I had never seen anything that mean and that powerful in my entire life. And what can you say about a living legend that is just continues just to knock people's heads off? But his power was an inspiration and still continues to be, an inspiration. And can't talk highly enough about Motorhead and all the tunes, all the records, and all the feelings and emotions that they've given to me. And I know Brent and especially Nick Oliveri are just massive Motorhead guys, but I think it was just the sheer raw power, and my jaw dropped to the ground as a kid. I thought to myself, holy shit, who the fuck are these guys? And I knew of them ever since, and been a fan ever since. So ultra mad respect to those guys.
Excellent. All right. Well, as I said, the new Vista Chino is called Peace. And John, as a tradition, we always let the artist pick a closing song off the new release and maybe tell us a quick story about it.
Why don't we do a song that we kind of touch base on, so I don't bore your listeners anymore with my long-winded answers. Why don't we go with Adara, just because it was really I think a classic collaboration between Brent and myself.
Excellent. All right, well, here it is. This is Vista Chino from the Peace release, and this is Adara exclusively here on Your Classic Metal Show.